Welcome to Life Outdoors. I am your host, Chris Reckling, and this is a new feature here on WAVY Plus where we're going to explore human interaction with all things nature here, and we're going to check out all things, all the natural resources that we have here in Hampton Roads. And with a name like Life Outdoors, that means we can go in a whole bunch of different directions. We're going to talk about all things fishing, all things hunting, all things surfing, gardening, the birds and the bees, but not the birds and the bees, but birds separately and the bees and whatever. So we're going to just have a little bit of fun with it and take us in any direction. So if you found us, you're going to find a fun time here on Life Outdoors. And to kick things off in our very first edition of Life Outdoors, we're joined now by the one and only Lee Tolliver. Lee,
Hey, Chris, how are you?
I'm doing great, and happy birthday, by the way.
I was going to say thanks for the birthday present, man. It was a great present for an otherwise calm and relaxing birthday.
Well, I mean, this is something new, and when we were planning on doing a show called Life Outdoors, the first thing I thought of was, okay, Life Outdoors, what does that mean exactly? Well, it means a little bit of everything, and I thought I'd turn to somebody who's spent his whole career talking about the outdoors. So you were a longtime writer for the Virginia Pilot, what, 42 years?
43.
43 years. You went from sports to Life Outdoors. You took over for Bob Hutchinson, right?
I did, yeah.
And tell everybody about Bob Hutchinson and how that led to your job as the outdoor reporter.
Well, I was always
at the Virginia Pilot.
I was always interested in outdoors, and when he took vacation and stuff, I would sub for him, so they knew I was interested. But when he retired, the word was that we're still going to need you to do high school sports while you do the outdoors. So it wasn't as much outdoors as I would have cared to have done, but I was still able to do outdoors, and that's my first love, other than my wife. And so yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. So I'm going to show you a little bit of video of yourself with some fish. And right now, you've retired from the Virginia Pilot, and now you've got your own segment, Lee Tolliver Outdoors.com. Right. Tell us about that.
I looked at getting some other jobs, and it just wasn't working out. So my wife said, why don't you, people are clamming for outdoor coverage that the paper's not giving them anymore. So why don't you start a website, and you can do what you did there, but you can do more of it or less of it. You write your own ticket basically. And it's turned out well. I enjoy doing it.
The problem with Life Outdoors here in Hampton Roads, if you're an avid angler or a hunter or something like that, there isn't enough information. There isn't enough people to give that information, and that's what you've done. And there's some shots of you there at the Pilot, beating away at your keyboard, giving that information, making your sources, talking
I'm not
to people.
Outdoors, though.
Well, neither are we, but at least we're talking about it. And like I said, there's not enough people talking about it or showing it.
Yeah, and it's outdoors is one of those things that you can never find too much information because there's so much going on in our area, the Mid-Atlantic region. There's so much going on that there's just you could have volumes and volumes of information and never touch it all.
And look, I got a shot of you out on the sideline for field hockey, which was one of your favorite beats, right?
It was. I love that game. I took it on because the people in the sports didn't want to cover it. So I took it on and fell in love with the sport, and the people were so nice, and they enjoyed the fact that they were getting paid some attention. And I just loved it. The sport grew, and I learned more about it, and it was just fun. Not as fun as that trout right there, but
Right.
it was fun.
That was us fishing in Rudy Inlet several years ago.
You still owe me money on that trip.
No,
don't you?
no. Well, you definitely outschooled me on that. So it's back to tight lines in the crosshairs, Lee Tolliver. It's not just fishing. There's so much going on. The spring turkey hunt is underway. The youth season was this past weekend. So how important do you find it that people take their outdoor activities here in Hampton Roads?
A lot of people take it very seriously, and I just wish more people did because, we see our kids in front of the screen playing video games and texting and doing all that stuff. Back in our day, Chris, we'd say, hey, get outside and go play and come back in when the street light comes on. And that's what we did. We learned how to fish or whatever, and there's just so much opportunity around here. It's not even funny.
I've asked you this before, and before I ask you this question, tell us about that catch right there.
I was on the North River fishing for yellow perch with a custom made 7.5 foot rod with 2 pound test line. And the guy I was fishing with thought I was hung up on the bush that we were catching some fish out of. And I
And then
said,
that
well,
bush started
I said,
biting.
well, the bush is moving. And next thing you know, after about 15 minutes, I was able to tussle that guy to the boat, because you can't force him with 2 pound. 2 pound test line is like hair.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to take your time with that. All right, now I've asked you this question before. I'm going to ask it again. What got you hooked on fishing? I know this is something that you shared, like most people, you share with your father, the family. When did it start, and what was it about fishing that just sort of led to where you are now?
I was probably 5 or 6, and we were in West Virginia visiting my grandfather, and he's like, let's go fishing. So we dug up some worms in the garden, got in the truck, and went to a little creek and started catching bluegill. And my grandfather and my dad seemed to enjoy me catching fish and being excited about it than they did. And it didn't matter what size fish I was catching. I just loved it. And to pardon the pun, but I was hooked. It was a way of life after that point.
Well, listen, speaking of way of life, there's a lot going on in Hampton Roads right now, especially the Bassmasters Classic it's actually taking place as we speak right now down in Elizabeth City. We're going to talk more about that, and coming up in a couple of minutes as well, we're going to do some extreme fishing in the Outer Banks. Shark fishing. We're going to show you.
You're going to need a bigger boat.
It's an amazing catch that a lot of people are talking about. Not just that, but bluefin tuna being caught off the pier and in kayaks. Some crazy stuff. So we're going to take a short break right now, and we'll be back with you in just a minute here on Life Outdoors. And welcome back to Life Outdoors. I am your host, Chris Reckling, our very first edition of a very new show here on WAVY Plus. And if you found us, thank you for finding us. And like I said, at the top of the show, it's about everything. It's about human interaction with all things outdoors here in Hampton Roads. And we're talking with Lee Tolliver, a good friend of mine I've known for quite a while. And we shared a lot of time on the sidelines and in fishing and just talking about stuff. A little bit more about yourself. You're from here. You graduated from Calum.
Yep, 1976.
1976.
Green Run was still farmland. Salem was still farmland.
Virginia Beach Boulevard was 2 lanes.
Yeah,
And, there was
yeah.
medians and feeder roads and all
Yeah,
that. So, I
yeah.
mean, I'm old too, Lee.
I know you are.
Not quite as old as yourself, but we're both getting in there.
Well,
Back to your birthday.
Don't be catching up.
I know. We're just trying. Just glad we have another one. Okay, so back to all things fishing here in Hampton Roads. You told the story about your how you got started, where you were hooked at an early age. But this show is more than that, and you're more than that as well. So let's just for a quick second talk about some hunting here in Hampton Roads. Go for it. Whatever you want to say.
Hunting is fantastic. Just to the west of us, Isle of Wight County, Southampton County, Sussex County, all through there. Hunting is really, really good. Northeast North Carolina, it's mostly further east you get, it's mostly swamp deer, which tend to be smaller, but hunting is extremely good around here. It's not the big boys like up in Canada and stuff, but it's very, very good hunting around here.
And you didn't even mention the Eastern Shore. Like the
No,
people up in the
no,
Eastern Shore are like, hey, what about us?
Well, the Eastern Shore is overpopulated pretty much, so they could use more hunters over there.
When you say overpopulated, you mean there's too much deer?
Yeah, the population is crazy, and that's why in the fall, people going up 13, you really have to watch out, because they'll end up staring you in the face, and that's not how you want it.
Take me home. All right, so we're going to roll a little bit of footage right now of some sweet fishing right now. These are a couple guys I did a story with a couple years ago, Real Recovery. Did you ever do the Real Recovery story?
No.
Okay, so they take veterans and people with who are fighting cancer. They take them fly fishing.
Oh, awesome.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, there's more and more groups that are getting their communities that they take care of. They're getting them involved in fishing and other kind of stuff. Trap shooting, just outdoors. Yeah.
Life
yeah,
outdoors.
Yeah.
And so while we watch him, how much fly fishing have you done? Have you?
I've done some
Some.
for stripers
Right.
along Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel when the population was good,
Mm-hmm.
bluegill and stuff in Back Bay. I've done some, but it's mostly the kind where you don't have to be really accurate with your cast because
It's great.
real fly fishermen can pinpoint it. It's amazing to watch. It's an art form.
Yeah. And we're showing some a father and daughters going fishing together. I
That's
mean,
perfect. That's absolutely perfect.
and let's talk about the natural resources that we have here in Hampton Roads, because I mean, take your pick. What's more impressive? The ocean, the bay, the sounds, I mean, the lakes, the rivers. I mean, come on.
Well, it's gonna boil down to exactly what you like the most is what's going to be the most important. But don't close yourself off from the other opportunities that are there because there's so many of them. So the fact that there's so many different opportunities gives you a chance to pick a favorite, and then you can try other things. I mean, I grew up a freshwater guy, and then I started doing saltwater, and a lot of it's similar tactics and similar fishing techniques and stuff. So it didn't take long for me to really love saltwater fishing. And when you're the outdoor guy at a place surrounded by saltwater, you best know a little bit about saltwater fishing.
All right. And but let's switch gears right now to something that's happening as we speak down in the Outer Banks. I'm not sorry, in Elizabeth City, the
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Bassmasters Classic.
It's the
It's the elite.
It's the Bassmaster Elite Series. They have 9 different events, and they qualify for the Classic, which is
Okay, so
the
it's a feeder.
championship,
Okay.
basically. Yeah, and that's the big tournament and stuff.
And
So
they're fishing in the Pasquotank.
the Pasquotank, and I was talking to some of the guys this morning when they were launching their boats, and some of them are making the run all the way to Alligator River by Manio. I mean, some of these guys make 2-3 hour runs to get an hour's worth of fishing in because
They know where the fish
they
are.
think that the fishing's going to be better there, wherever. Some of them are going to Back Bay. Some of the guys stayed in the Pasquotank,
Huh.
and I saw them take a left and head up to South Mills towards 17. So there's fish all throughout that area. So
Let's talk about how the difference between, say, me and you and that guy in that boat in that series. Like, they know how to catch fish.
I wrote in my advance that those guys are so good they could catch bass in a grocery store parking lot because they're able to analyze
For current
where they're going to
conditions.
be and figure out the bite and how everything's going and what baits are going to work best. They're allowed practices a few weeks back or a month back. So they're masters at being able to figure out exactly what to do. And 9 times out of 10, they find and catch fish when the rest of us would be, this is no good. Let's go have lunch.
Well, I mean, we've heard this many times before that 90% of the fish are caught by 10% of the fishermen.
Yeah.
And that's
Well,
kind of true.
well, 10% of the people own 90% of the money.
Well, I know. All right. It's just so wrong. But let's just break it down to cane, pole, and worm and having fun with mom and dad and girls. Like, look at, I mean, I love this footage because this came to us from Craig Marble, who works here. I mean, he shot this story for us just to show, I mean, a dad and his daughters having some fun fishing. I mean,
That is perfection. It doesn't get any better than that. And watching a youngster or watching your other half or whatever get it turned on to fishing and catch a few fish and just watching the look on their faces and how much joy it's almost better than catching them yourselves. And that's
Right.
what my dad and grandfather were enjoying when I decided, hey, this fishing thing's pretty cool. I think I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that kind of reminds me of this past weekend. A really close friend of mine, David Harris, is a very good turkey hunter. And he says to me that he'll be happy if he never shoots another turkey, but he likes to put people on them.
Yep.
And he's been successful almost every year putting a youth on a turkey during the youth hunt.
Yeah.
And once again, they scored again. So
I don't know him, but I know his kind, and when they tell you they find more joy in turning somebody else onto it, they're not pulling your chain. They really, really enjoy that. They really do.
okay, and you know what I think we all could enjoy is hooking the fish of a lifetime. And some guys on the Outer Banks just recently were fishing for shark, and they landed a, they didn't measure it, but I'm going to say it's between 10 and 12-foot long great white shark off the beach in Cape Hatteras.
Yeah.
We're going to take a short break and come back and talk more about that and show it to you right here on Life Outdoors.
Wonderful.
So stick around for that, everybody. And welcome back to Life Outdoors. I'm your host, Chris Reckling, coming to you for the first ever Life Outdoors segment here on WAVY Plus. Thank you for finding us. In case you want to know, we're going to be here every Friday, new episode. And today we're back with Lee Tolliver, longtime outdoorsman, and now has the LeeTolliverOutdoors.com website where he kind of goes over all things fishing, hunting, and whatever is happening outdoors. Is that a good way to characterize that, Lee?
Yeah, but I put more than just that on there. I
Right.
mean, the idea is to get a good story. What it relates to, if it's outdoors, I'm fine with it. But it's a good story. There's lots of good stories out there. You know that.
Yeah, I know. And just recently, there was a great story that you have done for years with the Great Bridge Fishermen's Association. They had their flea market a couple weeks ago. Once again, extremely successful. They have outgrown several different locations, and I don't know if they're going to outgrow the Virginia Beach Fieldhouse, but wow. Well, I mean, right? That's the
I
coolest
think
thing.
they're going to stay there for a little while because it works out perfectly for them
Yeah.
right now. I mean, you can only get but so big, but
know.
it's big and it rocks and rolls. I mean, you want to find something to buy, that's a good place for it.
And I talked to Butch over the weekend, and he said that a lot of people were like pushing to maybe go to like 2 days. But you know what? The people who are coming in with their flea market stuff, like their Bauman Pops or whatever,
Yeah.
they can't cover 2 days of that. But the commercial guys, they've got so much stuff. They would love it.
Oh yeah, well, a lot of those guys, they do this show and then they hightail it to another show, so
Right.
they're scheduled, so
Yeah.
it's tough for them. But he could probably get by with 2 days.
Yeah. So let's switch gears now. And in the last segment, we talked about, and you can see it right there, extreme fishing. And talking about extreme fishing, we're going to show you something right now that a lot of people are talking about. It's really the catch of a lifetime. And it is, so Dan and Luke were fishing off the point there at Cape Hatteras National Seashore. They were shark fishing. That's what they do.
Yep.
And they lucked into that right there, a great white shark. 10
Yep.
to 12 feet long, over 1,000 pounds probably. They didn't have time to weigh it or measure it. Talk about how significant that catch is in your mind, because they catch a lot of big sharks down there, but not great white sharks.
Well, there's lots of great whites down there because if you go to osearch.org, they chart a lot of these fish. They catch them and tag them with satellite tags, and they follow a lot of these fish on their migration north and south. And right now, lots of these great whites are heading back north. So it's not totally surprising that they've seen one. They're
They
here.
caught
They're
one.
here. They're
They
here.
didn't
Well,
see it. They caught it and they brought it to the beach.
That takes it to a whole brand new level. Talk about a fight. Much, in a boat or something, what a fight. But from the beach, you slip, and the next thing you know, he's dragging you out of the water.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of questions that go along with that too. And the first thing you have to know is this doesn't happen by accident. These guys shark fish all the time. They have it down to a science, their gear, how they do it. And what impressed me the most with this is not only did they get it to the beach, but they got it right back in the water and it swam off, which they knew was important, because if they didn't get it in the water quickly, and if something happened to that fish, they would have come under a lot of scrutiny.
Well, and it tells me they're good conservationists. They had their thrill. Now let's take care of the girl and make sure she's okay and swims away.
Oh, it's a girl.
Well, technically, with that size, the chances are better that it's a girl.
You think it's a female?
It probably is.
I thought it was an immature young man.
They didn't ask me. They didn't ask me to come check it, so I don't know.
I'm just playing with you, Lee. Okay, and there's other questions too. Like there are some people out there right now saying, how do you get the bait out there? Then there's some talk of maybe drones and kayaks and getting it out there, because that's kind of the most important thing. Get your bait out into deeper water where the bigger fish are.
Yeah, and there's a variety of different ways to get your bait out there. You can catch big sharks without using them and closer to the beach. You really can, and it's done more than you would think. But to catch a fish like that, you have to have your bait out there, and people have used kayaks to get them out, swam out, just all kinds of remote control boats. I've actually seen that done. I mean, it's a variety of ways to get the bait because you'll never cast it that far, but your chances are better that's where that fish is gonna take your bait.
And of course, right now being springtime, this is the spring red drum run. A lot of people are catching drum right now, and it's not uncommon to catch a shark while fishing for drum. And most of the times they're smaller, but every now and then they're bigger.
Yeah.
They're not often are they great whites though. So
No.
that's a fish. That's a catch of a lifetime.
It's a whole different, it's a whole different ball game. It's, you catch your red drum and your speckled trout and things that more people can catch. This takes, like you said, these guys, they do this, and they're not alone. There's a bunch of other people around here that do the same thing, but you have to know what you're doing and have the right equipment and all that stuff. It takes a real serious effort to do what they did.
And they needed all the help to get that fish back in the water swimming off. Hats off to them for doing it the right way. Now let's quickly just talk about, for just a couple of minutes, not just are they catching sharks out there, but recently there's been a run of bluefin tuna all around the piers down there. Now, they've hooked them off the pier, and a couple guys have actually landed them in a kayak. Yeah, I mean, that's another catch of a lifetime of bluefin from a kayak.
Oh, yeah. Do you remember the years back, maybe 10, 12 years back, when striped bass fishing off the coast of
Cape
Virginia
Henry.
and stuff there was big striped bass, and it was going crazy. And then all of a sudden people started getting hooked up and they started getting spooled and all their line was gone. And they finally realized that bluefin tuna had moved in close to the beach, and they changed their gear and started catching bluefin tuna, and they're real close to the beach. Well, they have been, they can change in a heartbeat, but they've been real close to the beach. You want to talk about a fight? That guy that caught one off the pier, he was fighting that fish for several hours.
Well, I mean, catching it in a kayak, it's going to take you for a ride.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, Chris, you need to watch out with bluefin tuna because they're highly regulated.
Yep.
And you have to have a permit.
Yep.
And they only issue a permit for a boat.
Right.
Like a charter boat. So you or I can't just go get one and sit on and the feds have they put the word out that this needs to stop. So
play by the rules, people, and not just in fishing, but everything you do out in the great outdoors. So listen, Lee, I want to thank you for coming in and for our first ever episode here.
Thank you
Life
for
Outdoors.
having me, man.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can talk about fishing, hunting, and just the great outdoors, it's always good. And I'm thrilled that you're the first person we had here on the show.
Hey, you can't ever take that away from me.
I won't. Our first, it was a Lee Tolliver. So if you want to find out more about Lee and everything he's doing, go to LeeTolliverOutdoors.com. And if you want to have more things, if you want to see more things about outdoors here in Hampton Roads, you can find it here on Life Outdoors every Friday, new episode. And like I said, it's about, exploring man's human interaction with our nature here and all the natural resources in Hampton Roads. And it's not just fishing or hunting. It's going to be a little bit of everything. So stick around for all that good stuff. I think we're about out of time. What do you think? Out of time? Okay, so first time at this. We're going to see how this goes. Lee, I want you to say goodbye, and we're going to try to wrap things up. You ready for that? Say goodbye, Lee.
Goodbye, Lee.